Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I'm thrilled to be showing off a PvP focused build using the new measured assembly gear set introduced with the latest Year 7 Season 1 update. A couple of reasons that I'm excited for this. One, it's always just refreshing to get a new support set that is actually viable in PvP. But on a more personal note, for any who didn't know, measured assembly is the spiritual successor of the final measure gear set back from the Division 1. And for years, when asked the question of what set I'd want to bring over to the Division 2, Final Measure was always my response. And now in the Division 2, it's been reformatted to protect against some of the most lethal builds you can encounter in PvP, notably high-powered skill builds and mortar turret setups. You got troubles with teams spamming you with secret mines or dropping stinger hives at your feet, worst of all raining down one-shot mortars on your head. Measured Assembly's got you covered as it can defuse and destroy all of those incoming projectiles. So I had a lot of fun putting this one together, even more fun running it, and without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. Alright, so here is the build. As usual, let's go through each piece one by one. Starting with my primary, I opted to go for a weapon with the Reformation talent on it. In my view, this works really well for kind of a combat medic style focused aggressive PvP healer. You land a quick headshot, you get 60% additional healing for 15 seconds. That can then apply to the hive, of course, that I have equipped, the healing hive. The gun itself doesn't matter, you can run whatever you want, but if you're going to run this style of gameplay, I do think Reformation is quite solid, but of course, if you have different ideas, do what you're gonna do there. Moving on to my secondary, I decided to go with the Overlord shotgun. Again, this is really interchangeable, run whatever you want. I just like the idea that I can slow people down if they're trying to run away from us. I have that little bit of utility to offer the team beyond just my healing, but again, if you've got different ideas, something you think would work better, go with that. Lastly, for my pistol, I have the TDI card. This is always really nice to have on like healer and skill builds in case you need a quick skill tier added. I've got that right here. And then additionally, I've got Sledgehammer on there, which again is kind of a must for this kind of support build, just to have the option if you need to hit an enemy with a grenade, give them that huge damage to armor debuff for your team, you can do it. So even if you're not going to have Sledgehammer on your pistol specifically, it is a good thing to have on one of your guns overall. Alright, but moving on, let's get to the star of the show here, which is Final Measure. Sorry, Measured Assembly. Final Measure is just stuck in my head. This is Measured Assembly, the new gear set. And the nice thing is this actually got pretty significantly buffed from its presentation on the PTS, which is part of why I knew I had to make a build with this. I knew it was going to be pretty decent. So the 2-piece gives you 15% skill haste. The 3-piece got buffed. It used to just give you the 60% repair skills, and now also gives you 40% explosive resistance, which is quite nice when and if mortar shots do get in between your diffusion, which helps out that I have a good bit of armor, but we'll get to that. So the 4-piece talent is called Huddle. You receive +1 skill tier for each ally agent that is within range of your hive or smart cover. So let's break down that part first. The way I've set up this build is to be used with a 4-man group in the Dark Zone or Conflict, right? If you are going to be playing with, consistently only 3 people, then you may want to add a skill tier to one of your gear pieces here. Because what I've done is I have 1 skill tier here, 1 here, I'm getting a free one from Technician, but then because of the talent on Measured Assembly, it means that when all of my teammates are within the range of my hive or smart cover, I'm at skill tier 6 because it's giving me +1 for each of them. So again, that is how I have this set up. I've rolled armor everywhere else to be as, survivable myself as possible. But again, if you're only going to be running with 3 people, maybe you want to run a 3 and 3 here so that you have 4 skill tiers by base. Your teammates then add the last 2. I'll let you make that call. All right, continuing on, the next part of the talent is about Overcharge. That does not apply to PvP because the Overcharge feature does not work in the Dark Zone or Conflict. That is only a PvE feature. But the last part is probably the most important here. It says mortars and enemy skills that enter the range of your hive or smart cover will be destroyed. The cooldown on that is 10 seconds, but, and this is buffed from the PTS, actually the whole thing is buffed. I think the cooldown used to be like 25 seconds, 30 seconds, and now it's 10. But then additionally, the cooldown is 20% faster for each ally agent within range of your hive or smart cover. That means that if I have my full team in there, the cooldown on that is only 6 seconds, which is really good. Additionally, I don't have one on me to show you, but they also buffed the backpack version of Measured Assembly. The amplification talent on there reduces that cooldown to 1 second. So if you want a build where you basically are always going to be diffusing those skill proxies that come within your range, then you can run that. I have a reason for running birdies. We'll get to that in a moment, but I think 6 seconds by base just with the flat gear set itself is still really good, and that's what I'm relying on here. So again, with that in mind, this build is all about uptime on your Hive, on your Smart Cover. I'm choosing to run both here. These skills alone are buffing up your teammates, but then they also offer group-wide protection on those pretty lethal hazards in PvP, like skill proxies, and most specifically, mortar turrets. So it's pretty darn good. Looking down the list here, just to show you, I have a combination of skill repair and skill haste on all of these items. So for the measured assembly mask, I got armor, 2 skill repair things there on the attribute in the mod. For the holster, if we go down here, another armor roll, skill repair there, gloves, armor, skill haste on there, and knee pads, armor, skill repair. Again, the location of these rolls does not matter. You can put it wherever. And if you want to lean a bit more into skill haste or skill repair, that is totally up to you. As you'll see on the chest piece, I have one piece of Handy U to get the 10% skill haste from the brand bonus. The reason I'm kind of leaning a bit more into skill haste is that while the cooldown of 6 seconds is great on this talent, it's only eligible when one of these 2 skills is active, right? So if I have no skill haste and the cooldowns on these things are like 40, 50 seconds, then your team is going to be out of luck for that amount of time. So I am trying to make sure that my healing from the Restore Hive is good enough, but I also want to make sure that as much as possible, one of these 2 skills is available for me at all times. Alright, going back to the chest piece, again, one piece of Handy U, skill tier. That status effect roll is a placeholder. I would, of course, prefer to have skill repair there, skill haste, and repair skills for the mod. And then we have empathic resolve as the talent. This is debatable. I've gone back and forth between running this or tamper-proof or unbreakable. All of those offer you different bonuses in different ways. Tamper-proof is nice since you're kind of basing it around like a stationary skill on the ground. Unbreakable is nice because we are running 1.5 million armor. That can help me stay alive a little bit more reliably. But of course, empathic resolve is just a nice team buff to be able to give your allies a bit more damage when you heal them. So again, any of those 3 I think are solid options, or if you have another idea, love to hear about it. But yeah, that's what I've been running for the majority of the gameplay clips that you saw here. And then final gear piece is the exotic on our backpack, which is Birdie's Quick Fix Pack. Now, great news, as of this season, they have fixed pretty much all of the issues and bugs that were present with this item. You may have seen I made a video at the end of last season when we got this talking about how pretty much the vast majority of the combat medic talent was bugged. But like I said, great news. In the patch notes for the season, they confirmed that mostly all of those issues were fixed up. They adjusted the revive speed timer to 80% instead of 90, but in doing so, they fixed it so that doing manual quick revives does give you the damage resistance. It gives you the overcharge in PvE. That revive speed now applies to when an agent is fully dead, which again is not relevant towards PvP specifically, but it's just good that they fixed up all of the issues there. So this item, in my opinion, is absolutely worth now running. Why I'm running this specifically on this build, as you saw in the gameplay, being able to revive teammates from the brink of death where they otherwise would get full killed is an immensely beneficial perk to have, right? And you saw it in the gameplay. I was able to run over, pick teammates up, continue healing them, give them the bonuses, diffuse skills. This item really just adds one more tool to your toolkit in a way that pretty much no other item will in the game. So I think it is a really solid addition. But again, it's not mandatory. If you wanted to run the measured assembly backpack for that 1 second cooldown on the skill diffusion, you could do that. If you'd rather run, one piece of Alps so that you're getting the skill haste here and the skill repair there, and then you want to run a backpack talent, you could do that. But I just think Birdie's is a really solid addition. Finally, like we already talked about, I have a Restore Hive down here, which of course gets up to tier 6 once the measured assembly talent is in effect. I've got the standard healing mods going on down here. And then we have the brand new fortified smart cover, which came with the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. If you don't have the DLC, it is not absolutely mandatory that you run smart cover. My first iteration of this build used a different skill. I was trying to remember what it was. It was the Reinforcer Chem Launcher. So if you wanted to do something like that, you could. Again, you won't then have 2 skills that are eligible for Measured Assembly's talent, but you will still have access to the Hive, so this is not mandatory, but it is a really solid bonus. As you saw in the gameplay, being able to give my teammates 80% bonus armor and giving them those resistances to just sit there, beam down a hallway, do whatever. It is a really nice tool that, again, this also counts for that diffusion of mortars, of enemy skills. So if you do have access to it, I highly recommend, but again, it is not absolutely mandatory. And then finally, we also talked about this as well, but I have the Technician specialization. I would have trouble recommending you anything else purely because this gives you the skill tier, and in doing so, that allows me to roll just 1 less skill tier on my gear, which is really nice in this case to be able to have 4 armor cores on a primarily skill and healing focused build. It makes those PvP encounters have a lot less friction, and it just fits in very, nicely. So there you have it, my friends. That is the breakdown for my take on a PvP-focused measured assembly build. As I said, it's been offering my team lots of protection and utility across conflict in the Dark Zone, so I hope it's able to do the same for yours. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, though. If there are things you'd think you'd change about the setup, let me know. Or if you have an entirely different idea on how to utilize this new set, let me know that too. Lastly, if you enjoyed the video and you don't want to miss out on my future build breakdowns as well as all of the content that I put out for the Division 2, then I hope you'll consider clicking that subscribe button. We'd love to have you around. Additionally, extra thanks goes out to our channel members. My appreciation for your continued support cannot be understated. That's all I've got for today though, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.